Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi, and Mississippi, for that matter, such a great place to live, work, and play. And I've given you the opportunity on a number of occasions to hear how pleased I am to be a part of SuperTalk Mississippi Media. There are 12 stations that are part of the SuperTalk network, and they are sort of geographically, strategically located throughout the state. So when you combine your ability to be able to listen to this show on the radio with the incredible digital footprint that we have, we're covering the state, and it doesn't matter where you live in the world, you can listen to a SuperTalk radio channel. SuperTalk Mississippi Media also owns, in addition to the 12 radio stations, they own another, 14 radio stations that are news programs. So total 26 radio stations across the state, and several here in coastal Mississippi. And one is a very popular radio station. It is WCPR. 97.9 WCPR rocks. Most people in coastal Mississippi are very aware of it. And they're our sister station. They're the ones who produce every year the CPR Fest, which was, sort of in hiatus for a number of years, and then it came back and about to come up again. So we've invited our friend Scot Fox, who's a music director for WCPR and also an on-air personality. And I've also asked Cal Curley, who's the producer of Coast Vue, to join us in this conversation, because Cal has had a tremendous history. He's been at the company so many years with sort of this evolution of WCPR along the way. So we're going to give you the latest, and we're also going to talk about the latest as it relates to the upcoming CPR Fest. So without any further ado, let me welcome my friend Scot Fox, and of course the producer of Coast Vue, Cal Curley. How you guys doing?
Hey, Ricky, doing well, man.
Doing pretty good, pretty good.
Good to see you. So, hey, Cal, you and Scott go back a long way, don't you, buddy?
Yes, we do. I would say back as far as Harley Davidson and Bobby Lee.
So could Kyle tell some stories on you, Scott?
Well, Kyle could tell some stories, and he'd be the one that would remember them all, because my memory's gone. So.
There's a lot of those memories, Scott, that are, I refer to some good lyrics from Garth Brooks, Erased by Sweet Red Wine.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So hey, Scott,
remember stuff like that, but can't remember details of events.
Yeah, right. So Scott, tell me, it's so interesting, because CPR, one of the magics around WCPR is the way that you guys select the music. It's a very unique approach. You still are very much in the trenches of listening to music and picking the music that plays on this channel. It's been a great history of that. You guys have done a good job of sort of adjusting the programming along the way, with a morning show, for example. In a world where most radio stations are moving to some sort of national voice and doing away with local altogether, SuperTalk Mississippi Media has doubled down, and WCPR is no exception to that. Give us a kind of the latest at WCPR.
Well, to your point there for a minute, the nationals that are doing voice tracking and one person's voice tracking for 10 stations across the country, they're losing out. They're losing out on the local touch. And so SuperTalk Mississippi Media, I mean, they have kept it real, and they've kept it local. If I'm here and voice tracking in Virginia, I can't talk about something that happens weather-wise in Virginia or something local to that market if I'm in a different market completely. So, nothing wrong. People make their living that way. That's fine. But we like to keep it local. And, we've been here on the scene since, Kyle, 1994, 1995?
94, 95. Yeah, when we got together at the same place, and then CPR in 95.
Yeah, so we went on the air at 95. I think Kyle Curley was the first one at the radio station. The only person that's been here longer than me is that guy right there, Kyle Curley, because I came on in mid '94. Kyle was already here at US 98, a country station.
Yeah,
and we turned that station, into rock. And man, we've been trucking all along, Ricky. And nowadays we have our own local morning show. I come on after the morning show with the All Request Lunch. It's probably the longest running feature on radio locally. We've been doing the All Request Lunch for 28 years or so now. And then after me, we go to straight music the rest of the night until we come back with the morning show.
It's interesting. The morning show, again, it's unusual to launch a morning show in a sea of radio station consolidations in this country. But boy, having a group that's focused on this local market, like you mentioned just a few minutes ago, and being able to bring some kind of funny flair to it and sort of the CPR attitude, it's made a real difference, hasn't it?
It has made a difference. And, the thing is with the morning show is we found ourselves in a position where we had to find a morning show. And Kenny Vest and myself, we scoured the country looking for morning shows that we could syndicate or maybe bring somebody in. And we just weren't finding something that really stood out like we had to have this. We were in talks with Bubba the Love Sponge and a couple other people. And finally, we decided, if we really can't find what we want out there, let's just kind of make it ourselves. And we did, and it's worked out.
Tell us about the personalities on the morning show.
So we have Lucas is basically the main voice on the morning show. Lucas was program director and is still the PD of our top 40 station, The Monkey. And we brought him over. We brought Dan Saw, who used to be a stand-up comedian. And Dan has worked here at the radio station for a long time doing, traffic and things like that, and some on-air duties. But we brought him in together with Lucas, and we started the morning show out with Riley Knight, who is a longtime personality here on CPR. And recently, Riley stepped back. So her replacement is a girl that was a friend of Riley's, actually. Her name was Sarah, who worked for the Seawolves. And she came in. Now we have Lucas, Dan, and Sarah. And they sound really good. Sarah, this is her first ever radio job, and she sounds really natural, really comfortable, and it's worked out very well so far. Yeah.
And the numbers look good, don't they?
The numbers are looking good. Yeah. They came out on top of our main rival, who left us after so many years. So that was always good to see that, man. That felt good.
Yeah, I know it did. Kyle, it's cool to sit in your seat and watch these evolutions happen, isn't it?
It is. When it come time looking for a morning show, I think, it really comes back to the culture that we've kind of created here between Kenny and Scott, myself. When there's a fit and when it's not going to fit. You just have that gut feeling. And it's kind of like Kenny and Scott with the music. You have the gut feeling and you go with it. And in the end, with all of the different competition and all of the different choices, doing the local morning show with the talent that we already had in-house, just pulling them from different places and putting them together, it just fit with the culture of the building. It fit with the culture of the market. And, gut feelings sometimes more than not show up to be positive, and it's turned out to be a really good move for us.
It's cool. It's very cool to watch it. You mentioned the music, Kyle, but Scott, what you and Kenny have done for so many years around the selection of music, it's incredible.
It's pretty simple, though. We have our formula, and it's not a difficult formula. We kind of know exactly how each other is going to react to a particular song. And, I'm the one that gets all the new music in. And if I hear something, sometimes I'll test Kenny to see if he's on the same level as me on a specific song, just to see what he says. And I said, yep, I knew he was going to like that, or I knew he was going to hate that. Anyway, our formula is pretty simple. It's just kind of stay away from the loud screaming stuff. Give us a hook and some good sounding songs, and you may have a hit on your hands.
Yeah.
Question about the hook and the feel good songs. What happened with my Buck Cherry? I thought it was going to do better.
Well, that's one of those things, sometimes they do, Kyle, sometimes they don't.
I sent Scott a song. I thought I had it before him. I emailed it to him and Kenny both. I said, "You're welcome." And then I kind of watched it over the few weeks, and I'm like, man, it never took off. I feel stupid. I still can't find it.
Sometimes, Kyle, it's other bigger artists that might be coming in at the same time that makes it harder because we can't play everything. So it makes it harder. We may have a Metallica song or an Ozzy song or something like that coming in, and we have to give attention to those songs if they're good, before Buck Cherry, unfortunately.
Hey, we're having a conversation with Scot Fox from WCPR and my buddy, the producer of Coast Vue, Cal Curley. They both had such great history with SuperTalk Mississippi Media. When we come back, we'll talk about CPR Fest. It's back now. What's coming up for this year's fest? We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have my friends Cal Curley, the producer of Coast Vue, and then Scot Fox, who is music director and an on-air personality for WCPR. And I enjoy it. You always enjoy getting together with my brother, and it's cool that there are so many local personalities that are part of SuperTalk Mississippi Media. As I've said at the first segment, as I've said many times on this show, and in a time in the radio business when everything's being pushed to sort of a national voice to cut costs, Steve Davenport has taken a completely different approach with his radio stations in Mississippi, and it's really paid off. He's built this incredible multimedia company that is hitting on so many cylinders. I want to just remind you a little bit about the history of WCPR, and then we'll talk about this year's event and why it's important. But Kyle, I'm going to actually turn it over to you, and you kind of delve into that a little bit with Scott.
Well, the history of CPR Fest, in the nutshell, we signed on the air at 3:00 in the afternoon, September 20th, 95. At 5:00 in the afternoon, somebody hit a phone pole or a power pole and knocked us off the air. Mm-hmm. So that right there, I think, set the stage for the most kindest way train wreck that CPR is. Because sometimes, I mean, in the best possible way, Scott, CPR is nothing but one train wreck after another in a good way. CPR Fest has always been a wonderful event. The first one was 1996 with Candlebox.
Candlebox, Brother Kane, Dishwalla. I've got the T-shirt right here. I'll flash it real quick. This is a T-shirt that we framed from the very first CPR Fest. And
wow.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Hog, I remember that. Aisle 9 from here on the coast.
Yeah. So those guys are still around. Some of those bands. Candlebox has a couple shows coming up in August in the area.
And then over the course of the few years, we've only taken a couple of years off. I want to say, so this is what, CPR Fest 21?
This is 21, yeah.
Okay. So so we've only taken a few years off. Some of your best moments from CPR Fest, what's your top 2 or 3?
Oh my gosh. One of them was Kay's Choice playing on the grounds in the big lawn in front of the Coliseum in the rain.
I remember that.
And nobody moved. Everybody was checking out the show. And rain didn't run anybody away, as I remember. Of course,
I remember when they were on stage, there was a good number of people hiding from the rain underneath the catwalk around the Coliseum.
Yeah.
But as soon as she started into the first few notes of the a cappella part at the beginning of Kay's Choice of the song, the life of me can't remember the name of the song, but everyone started running. And they stayed outside from that point on. Nobody ever hit from the rain again all day long. It was great.
That song was called Not an Addict.
Not an Addict, yeah.
Another memory would be, in general, the one year we were able to have camping overnight. It was a 2-day festival at that point. And we had campers stay out overnight. That was kind of cool. Another one would be from last year. One of the coolest things I've seen was Giovanni and the Hired Guns brought a tuba out on stage and did a song with a tuba. Now, how many times have you seen a rock concert with a tuba on stage?
Yeah, you don't see that often. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, those are just a couple things I can think of right off the spot,
I remember one year when the Toadies couldn't make it and we scrambled to have a band fill in that slot because it was right at the evening. I think the sun was going down, and I want to say, was it aisle 9 that they filled in and they just did all covers. And I remember, do what?
That makes sense. So it probably was them.
They level with the ground. It was the band. It wasn't all nine. It was level with the ground. They went out, and I remember the sea of people bouncing to when they did the cover of Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff, Rage Against the Machine. It was
Chris,
me.
The lead singer of Level with the Ground, Chris, still is in contact with me, and they had some really good songs, man.
Yeah,
and, he did good covers of Tool, Limp Bizkit, a bunch of bands. Yeah.
Yeah, that was to me one of the highlights. Then that weekend we had camping. I remember it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was staying at the Holiday Inn next door, and this band rolled up, got off the bus. They come in. They showed up with a 6-pack of Molson. That's how we figured out it was Nickelback, because it was the only Canadian group.
Yeah.
So I sat and hung out with Chad Kroger for a while. Who'd have known long, later that the band that they would become. But that was fun. And just the people in general that we always run across at all of these shows. All of these bands, they're the nicest people you've ever met in your life. And sometimes it's hard to get in contact with them. Sometimes it's not, but it's usually not the band's fault. Once you get through the barrier of they know you're not out to sucker them into something. They're really good people. I've enjoyed every bit of all the CPR that we've had.
And the time that I spent with Brad Arnold here on Coast Vue, telling the story of WCPR and discovering Three Doors Down and that whole story and what Kenny's role was in that. That show got viewed, almost 100,000 times. It was super popular. But again, they have followers from all over. I noticed that a young woman from Russia even commented, about something about kryptonite. So it's got so much great history, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Three Doors Down, man. They were our local band, and boy, just gigantic now, huge.
So, Scott, tell us about this year. What are we looking forward to this year?
All right, so this year it's coming up in just a few weeks, May 6th at the Coliseum. It's going to be inside and outside. So we're going to start off the day probably right around noonish outside. We've got a few bands. I went to a rock radio convention about 2 months ago in Las Vegas. And some of the bands I saw play out there, I called Kenny Vest. I said, Kenny, man, we should think about these guys. They really, really sound good. And so actually 3 of those bands are playing. One of them is called Des Rocks. That's a guy's name. And he kind of looks kind of like a, Freddie Mercury-ish type looking guy. Really a great musician. He puts on a fantastic show. Saw him in Vegas. Another band called Crowbot. You hear that, to me, if I hear that name Crowbot, I think it's going to be a heavy metal rocking sound band, but they're really not. And they played an unplugged set in Vegas, and it was just phenomenal. They played some Soundgarden covers by request, and I thought, man, these guys sound so good. We should try to get them. So we did. Saliva. I saw them in Vegas, too, and it's been a while since I've seen them, and they have a new singer from the days back when we had them at CPR Fest a couple times before. They have a new single out right now called High on Me, and it's really, really good, and they just they rock that house in Vegas. So we went after Saliva. So we have those 3, Des Rocks, Crowbot, Saliva. We have a band called The Violent, who used to be called Red Sun Rising. Aaron Jones, who is just this great performer, man, guitarist. It kind of reminds me of like a Jimi Hendrix type. He's going to put on a great show for us. And then we'll have Another Day Dawns inside. We'll have Bush and Breaking Benjamin all wrapping up the show inside of the Coliseum.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a hell of a show this year. Give the details one more time and how people can get more information, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the show is Saturday, May 6th at the Coliseum in Biloxi. If you would like to get tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com. You can use the Ticketmaster app. You can go to the Coliseum box office. Tickets start at about $25. Now, look, and it could sell out because we're having the show inside and outside. We can only sell the number of tickets of people that would fit inside the Coliseum, right? So the tickets are good inside and outside. So we'll have a pit area right in front of the stage for standing room tickets. We only have 1,000 of those that we're selling. I'm not sure what we have left at this point. Everything else inside the Coliseum is seated. Outside the stage, it's going to be standing room only. No assigned seats outside like we had last year. So very happy about that.
So that first part of May, you don't want to jinx it, but usually the weather can be amazing.
Well, hopefully we get the May flowers and not the April showers.
There's no doubt about it. So Kyle, any closing thoughts on the CPR Fest and what it means to coastal Mississippi?
I think at this point, CPR Fest is almost a rite of passage for CPR listeners, for people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. There's people in other towns and around. We've got 1:05 left. That really, this is a vacation destination. They come down and enjoy the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They go to CPR Fest. They spend their hard-earned vacation dollars here on the coast. And to me, it's an institution in itself. And I think it just shows to the testament of CPR and SuperTalk Mississippi Media's investment in coastal Mississippi. It's a great time had by all. Once you get, I don't know if you can say anything more else about it.
I couldn't say it any better. Hey, Scot Fox, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend.
Always, Ricky. Thank you, man.
And Kyle, we see each other every day. He's amazing. I need to get him on the radio more often. Y'all have a great day, and listen, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Rick.